Today on Law Weekly, we feature discussions from the African Bar Leaders Conference, which was just rounded off in Lagos, Nigeria. We also have the weekly recap of the top legal stories from the courts, plus our interview segment with the former executive director of the Lagos State Security Trust Fund, Mr. Fola Otowori. Against the background of activities to mark the 2-year anniversary of the abduction of the Chibok girls, we talk about security, law and order, as well as governance issues. That's the lineup on Law Weekly today. Hello and welcome. I am Shola Shuyeli. The Nigerian Bar Association played host to representatives of over 30 African countries at the first African Bar Leaders Conference, which held in Lagos. We have details in this report.
But I hope that at the end of this conference, these are things.
The 3-day conference had the theme Reducing Poverty and Promoting Sustainable Economic Growth in Africa through Reforms in Administration of Justice. It afforded the leaders of the legal profession an opportunity to discuss and share practical experiences to find solutions to problems affecting the continent.
The challenges facing Africa are largely the same. Africa's poverty indices and the consequential challenges are well known and documented. What we now require are solutions and collaboration in our response, specifically within our sphere of competence. This is what this conference seeks to achieve.
The host, the president of the Nigerian Bar, Augustine Alege SAN, in his welcome remarks noted that creating a fair society through fundamental reform in the justice system is an absolute responsibility for all governments in Africa. Law societies and bar associations have an essential role to play in making this responsibility a reality.
Reforms, if implemented, will foster increased economic growth and development in Africa. Conversely, the failure of governments in Africa to address the issue of judicial reforms at all levels erodes public confidence in the judicial system, encourages the resort to self-help and extrajudicial means of dispute resolution, thereby occasioning a state of total chaos and economic regression. And in saying this, we remember the genocide in Rwanda. If the legal system had not failed, there would not have been genocide in Rwanda. The task before bar associations and law societies in Africa, therefore, is to lead the discourse on judicial reforms and to highlight its critical role in fostering economic growth and development. Also, on a personal note, the task before all bar leaders in Africa is to lead in their respective countries the quest for economic growth, the quest for the enthronement of rule of law, because we all know that there's no alternative to the rule of law. Alternative to the rule of law is anarchy, and when there's anarchy, our people suffer the most. Those at the lower ends of society suffer the most when there's anarchy.
The Chief Justice of Nigeria, who was represented by Justice of the Supreme Court, Justice Kudirat Kekereekun, was particularly interested in the conference finding solutions to issues of human rights arising from the scourge of insurgency and terrorism.
No doubt we have all been affected in one way or the other by the scourge of insurgency and terrorism in our continent and the varied responses thereto. In some of our jurisdictions, terrorism has become a real and present danger, presenting challenges to constituted legal authority and by extension the rule of law and administration of justice. In the face of this grave threat, leaders of the bar and stakeholders in the administration of justice must urgently identify innovative and practical solutions that will ensure the preservation of human rights and our humanity.
The keynote speaker at the opening ceremony was from the International Criminal Court, ICC. He noted that though the ICC had received communication on the Nigerian government's failure to protect victims of Boko Haram's attacks, the court could not intervene because it found that the omission was not aimed at encouraging the insurgents.
Regarding allegations of the government's intentionally failure to protect the civilians and to prevent or punish Boko Haram's crimes for political purposes, again, our analysis shows that it does not appear that the government could be liable for omission. We know that the Nigerian government has often been blamed for its failure to act on warnings about Boko Haram's crimes. Notably, it is reported that the Nigerian security forces had advance warning about the attack on the Chibok girls in April 2014, but failed to prevent or stop it. From our analysis, nothing indicates that the state forces' failure to prevent Boko Haram's crimes was directed to assist, encourage, or lend moral support to the perpetrators in accordance with the statute.
The system of administration of justice in Africa generally suffers from the three defects of delay, cost, and uncertainty in final outcome. Participants at the Bar Leaders Conference believe that the discussions and recommendations from here will help in catalyzing the full potential of the economies of African countries.
May the lessons of the genocide in Rwanda be learned by Africa's political leaders.